Hey there everybody, this is Mike, LowDef Media, and hey, let's take just a minute to talk about the recent iPhone release that just came out this week, and not jumping into specs or anything like that, but one, marginal increase across the board, nothing really too outside the box, so to speak, except for the iPhone Air. We'll get into that in just a minute. But what I find very interesting about releases like this is, like, initially all the YouTube influencers, they'll get on there and they'll sing the praises of Apple and they'll talk about how gorgeous it looks and all the different updates and everything. But then after about 48 hours, all those accolades start turning into criticisms. And once they've had a chance to really dive into the specs, then they start picking it apart, and now all of a sudden it's not as great as it was initially made to look like. And now they start saying, well, it's just a marginal increase and it's just the same old thing that Apple does year after year after year. So I find that very interesting. But let's talk about the iPhone Air, not the 17 Air, but the iPhone or Apple Air. This one's kind of confusing. And the only thing I can really do to wrap my head around it is they didn't make this phone to sell primarily on its own. They're not looking for big numbers to see a shift from the traditional phone to a very thin Samsung Edge type phone. Oh no. I'm perceiving this to be kind of like ringing the bell, saying, hey look, we can make a phone that's super thin, made out of titanium, and don't be surprised in the future if you see a foldable phone. And I think that's what this is. It's kind of like a wake-up call to the market to say we now have the technology to make a very thin phone that's very capable. And don't be surprised next year if you see that folding phone. I've watched a lot of videos about that, and it seems to be the consensus. So hey, let me know your thoughts about this release. Is there anything you liked, anything you really didn't like? And do you think that Apple will be coming out with a folding phone next year? Hey, hit me up in these comments right over here.